Yeah. So we saw on the billing and revenue part, and apart from that, in cash processing, we saw the how to match the receipt and how auto match and these things. So
Did you
apart
give
from
me
that,
that recording from the other day?
yeah, I gave, I think.
Let me check because I forgot. I've been downloading some of your documents that you gave me, but I
Okay.
didn't check this one. So I don't think you gave me that.
Okay, no
At least
problem.
not in the
I'll
WhatsApp. Uh, just checking the
WhatsApp I
WhatsApp.
didn't add. I think
Oh,
I
okay, then I'll
added in
check it
Drive.
later. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine then. As long as it's there, I'm okay.
Yeah, check it. If it is not there, maybe I'll give. No problem.
Okay, yeah.
And apart from that, we have few other options as well. So that is for the write-off. So write-off is something where we have a few unreceived or receivable. So which will not be given, or maybe it's kind of an bad debts.
Defaulted one.
Yeah. So for
Okay.
those things, we can do the write-offs.
So from write-off limit per receipt. What is from meaning?
From is like from maybe 1 rupee to 100 rupee.
Okay, okay. So how do you give it in that field then? You give it as 1 to 100 or just 100?
No, here I'll say one, and here I'll say 100.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the bottom field yet.
Yeah,
I was looking at the top ones. Okay, yeah.
yeah. And apart from that, we have the minimum refund amount. So whether it is like 1 rupee, or I can refund even point 0.5. So whatever. So we can just
Okay,
mention the minimum amount here. So let's say I
okay.
give 10 rupees as minimum. So I cannot
Hmm.
refund below 10 rupees.
Okay. So usually, do you have any minimum refund or you just leave it blank?
No, we will have,
Eh,
no, most of the cases, the minimum refund will be one.
Oh, minimum will be one. Okay.
Yeah, and then we have chargeback due days. So chargeback due days, I have entered it as entered date. So before that, what is chargeback functionality? So
That was
chargeback
my
is,
next question.
yeah. So chargeback is something that, let's say we have a customer,
Uh-huh.
so who has billed almost, we have 10 bills. So out of it, he has one bill as open. So in this
10
one
bills.
bill,
Okay.
total bill is for, let's say, 10,000. So out
Okay.
of this 10,000, he has 5,000. So which has crossed the
Can
due.
you put this on the Excel, please?
Yeah, yeah. 1 minute. Yeah. You're seeing the Excel sheet, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say there is a customer called Honeywell,
Hmm.
and we are selling equipments.
Okay.
Tata Steel is selling, or maybe Tata Auto.
Mhm.
So in this case, if you see, Tata Auto is a vendor for Honeywell.
Mhm.
So Honeywell has maybe, let's say, three bills.
Okay. Outstanding.
Yeah, correct. No, totally two, three bills.
Total three bills. Okay.
Yeah, just for understanding.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see here, so the total bill amount is comes around uh, uh, 40, 45, 50, 60. Yeah, 60,000. So out of
Uh-huh.
it, Honeywell has paid
Five.
us 60,000. So
Uh-huh.
5,000 is outstanding. So
Uh-huh.
you see this particular due date for this 25,000 is, let's say, 10th of October.
Okay.
But today the actual date is 11th,
Mhm.
13th of November.
Mhm.
So what Honeywell says is that instead of keeping this bill open, so let's
Mhm.
open a new bill, and
Okay.
I'll add this as a part of that bill. So I'll give it as part of that.
Oh, okay. Just to close the books.
Yeah, just to close this one and open a new one. So what system will do is that to adjust or knock off this. So
Uh-huh.
in the receipt application, this 5,000 will be adjusted against the chargeback. So after
Okay.
adjusting this, what we will
Uh-huh.
do is that so system will generate a chargeback invoice automatically.
Okay.
So we will query that chargeback invoice, and
Mhm.
we will make adjustment to that particular chargeback invoice. So
Uh-huh.
after making the adjustment,
Mhm.
system will automatically create the another chargeback adjustment for the original invoice, which means
Okay.
this particular invoice will be closed, and
Uh-huh.
we will add this into the new invoice.
Okay.
So this is the functionality of chargeback.
So, so let's say now, I'm just trying to understand this. So
Yeah,
chargeback is when you have this 5,000 remaining or whatever the amount due
yeah,
that's remaining, you create a new invoice and apply that there if in that invoice as a line.
yes, correct.
But then what does it do in the receipt you said? That part is,
So, no, we will have an activity called chargeback. So this will
oh, okay,
create
okay.
automatic chargeback in the invoice stream.
Okay. So will you show me as part of the transaction when we do it?
Yes, yes, we are seeing that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this will be used. So we will see this.
Okay. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah. And apart from that,
So
similar
that
to
is what you enter. So entered date is what then entered date means the date you created a new invoice with that amount
no
plus whatever
entered
the amount.
enter date is when we enter the receipt actually.
Okay. Okay. And what are the other choices? Deposit
Others are
date?
like
Oh,
open
deposit
invoice
date.
due date. So this will pick the invoice due date. So in our case,
Okay.
it will pick 10th of October.
Okay. So
And this is,
isn't that useful? Uh, I mean,
yeah,
like,
that depends on the requirement. So how do we want to handle our dates?
okay.
So this is
Uh,
only for the chargeback due days. So when this
okay.
chargeback will be in due. So I have
Okay.
just entered it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And after that, we have this one, the accounting part, which we gave in the earlier part, that is billing and revenue. And
We discussed about those two on the top, on the left hand side. We discussed those, right? Auto
yes,
cash
yes,
rule set.
yes,
Okay, I need to
same
revise.
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
same thing. Yeah, and then we have automatic receipts. So automatic receipts will be coming in when we use the logbots. So
Okay.
logbots is the one when we are discussing about the matching and the auto cash rule set and these things.
Okay.
Yeah. So for those cases, so we have this one receipt confirmation threshold amount. So if we wanted to have a threshold amount for the receipt, so that we can set
Mm-hmm.
in here.
Okay.
And apart from that, here we have 1,000 invoices, which
Oh,
means
commit.
when system
Okay.
wants to save or commit this particular transaction, at
Mm-hmm.
which point, let's say system imports 1,000 and system commits it, and
Uh-huh.
again system imports another 1,000 and it will commit. So
Okay.
similarly, we are just setting the limit for it.
Okay. Usually, what will be the standard that you give
So
for
standard, it
invoicing?
just depends on the customer,
The volume.
yeah, volume. It will change to case actually.
Okay.
So usually it will be not only 1,000. So for our
Yeah,
case,
yeah.
yeah, it will be more actually.
But is there what I was getting at is like, is there a limitation, right? Only, I mean, let's say it can process up to 100,000 or 1 lakh, invoices you can commit.
No,
Or,
like
system will crash if you give too much, too big a number or something.
yeah, that's what. So there are two factors to this. So one is on the requirement of the client. So
Okay.
so basically by seeing the legacy data, we will understand the transaction that we will be importing or we will be getting into the Fusion application. First thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
second thing is we have this one, what do you call the infrastructure. So we have RAM and we have storage and the other things. So
Mm-hmm.
based on that, we should also plan because straight away if we give, let's say, I give 10 lakh invoices at one shot.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So system will not process this particular invoices. It will kill the job.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we should understand the infrastructure aspect, and we should also understand the requirement from the client end. Maybe
Okay.
if the requirement is to have it, let's say more than lakh or something. So for
Uh-huh.
those cases, we should suggest to increase the storage or these things. So that
Okay.
we should take a separate call with Oracle.
Uh-huh. Oh, with Oracle,
Yeah,
not with your, okay, because this is a
SaaS.
SaaS model.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
If it's a PaaS, you'll probably have to discuss with your DBA, right?
No, even
No?
that case, it will be maintained by Oracle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the difference between SaaS and PaaS is that in SaaS we don't have control over our application or data.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
if you see here, we don't have any tool or anything to do even the select query or update
Uh-huh.
any particular transaction. So
Mm-hmm.
all we can do is that we can go to the OTP report and we
Mm-hmm.
can do the select query and we can identify the data there. So
Okay.
apart from that, we don't have any control over the what do you call the table data.
Okay.
But whereas in past model, you will have complete control over the table data. You can even
Uh,
update it because you will have all the credentials given to you.
okay, okay.
But still, the network and the infrastructure,
Server,
everything will
okay.
be handled by Oracle.
Okay.
Yeah. And apart from that, we have another functionality called the bills receivable. So bills
Uh-huh.
receivable is kind of an functionality where we
Uh-huh.
can use it for we saw something called bills payable in AP. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, we have bills receivable. So this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of an instrument where we can
Mm-hmm.
use it and
Mm-hmm.
mm, let's say I have an instrument that I will receive payment at later point of time, but I will receive this instrument as an acknowledgement or
Uh-huh.
kind of an authentication that I can use it for the later time if the amount is not received. So I will have the instrument date and I will also have the maturity date. So based on this maturity date, I'll receive the payment.
Okay. It's still not very clear for me. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Okay. So here,
Mhm.
let's say my invoice date is and my payment instrument date is 10th October.
So what is a payment instrument? When you say instrument, are you talking about a physical instrument?
Yeah, physical instrument. It is kind of a document, uh,
Oh,
kind of a letter of credit, or we can say even the check is an instrument, which will be
okay,
like
okay.
we can say even the post-dated checks, like even the post-dated checks will be handled in bills receivable. It can be handled there. I mean, it's
Okay.
not mandatory that we wanted to have bills receivable, but if at all
Uh-huh.
there is a requirement that we wanted to have this way, so we can
Uh-huh.
configure bills receivable. But apart from
Okay.
that, normally also we can have the bills receivable configured.
Okay. So when you were saying instrument for me, right, I was thinking you're talking about Tata Auto Parts.
No,
So that's
actually,
why I was like totally confused. I was like, what is he saying?
yeah, actually
Okay.
it's kind of a physical document we can say, like
Okay.
check. Uh, check is the best example where let's say invoice date is 1st of October
Uh-huh.
and on 10th of October customer gives a check for let's say 10,000. So for this
Mm-hmm.
10,000 what will happen is that I'll have check dated 10th of I mean for 10,000 I'll get check on 10th of October.
Mm-hmm.
So this will get matured. So let's say maturity on 30th of October.
Okay. So
So
basically that's the due date.
yes, correct.
Mhm.
So even though I receive on 10th of October, I cannot encash it on 10th of October. So I'll be
And you have
receiving
to
it one.
wait till the
Yeah,
30th.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
So this will apply for the other payment instrument as well as the post-dated checks.
Okay.
So normal checks are different. Like I'll get it and I'll simply go to bank and I'll encash it. But
Mm-hmm.
there are cases for the post-dated checks. So for
Okay.
those cases, this will apply.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is about bills receivable. Yeah, so that's all we have here in system options.
So what is the point of giving those at the bottom, bills receivable, in terms of
Yeah,
setups?
so unless we enable it here, so we'll not be able to use the functionality of bills receivable.
Okay. So you have the setup somewhere done. You're just showing me the screen, empty screen now.
No, like we will do it when we are doing it actually. Now we are not
Ah,
enabling it.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I
to
thought you
avoid the
were already done.
complication actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, just give me 1 minute.
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're asking something.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
No, I was thinking you already had the setup. So I was like, where do you actually check it kind of? So that was why I was like,
No, actually, this is kind of a common configuration.
okay.
So to avoid the complication, we will not enable that first thing. So whenever we are seeing the particular functionality,
Oh, so
so we
that's
will
when you
enable this.
come back and enable that. Otherwise, you don't
Yeah,
have to.
yes, yes. If you see here, refund and all, we will do it.
Only when
But
you
now I'm
have
not.
the specific
Yeah,
scenario, that's when you come and enable it.
yeah.
Okay.
Because those are like optional configurations.
Okay, okay.
So we are not giving at this
Okay.
point.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So the main ones, the common ones that you just need to fill out for this AR is like the ones that have the star. That's it.
Yeah, correct,
Okay. Okay.
correct.
So that not many fields that are actually required.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be our first configuration. So unless we do the system option
Uh-huh.
configuration, so we will not be able to proceed with any of our receivable configuration.
Okay.
So this is our first checklist.
So let's assume we're starting off with our configuration. So when it comes to, let's say, GL, you do the common configuration, so whatever is needed, and then you do the taxation and then come and do this part, or you do this part first and then the taxation later.
I mean the setup or
The
the
setup,
transaction. Yeah,
setups.
setup we don't have any dependency. We can do tax configuration, and after that also we can come here and we can do our receivable
Or either way
configuration.
you can do it. Let's say you first finish
Yeah,
this and in the end you can do the taxes
yes,
also. Okay.
yes, correct.
Okay. And even same thing goes with intercompany, or does intercompany have to be done before or after?
Yeah, intercompany system specific, we don't have any what do you call the dependency, but
Uh-huh.
it is suggested to do the configuration and then go to intercompany.
That is receivables first, taxation, and
Yeah,
then go to the intercompany, right?
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this also like the receivable or payable. If you
Uh-huh.
wanted to test it also, so for those cases, it
Uh-huh.
is suggested to complete the receivable or payable and then go to the tax configuration.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, so
Mm-hmm.
we have two configurations. So that is mandatory for us in order to create the receipts.
Okay.
So we have earned discount and unearned discount. So I'll just take the earned discounts first.
Mm-hmm. And this you said is needed for the receipts, not the invoice, right?
No, not for invoice. This is not for the transaction actually. So this is
Okay.
for the configuration, like the receipt method and the classes
Okay.
to
Okay.
complete it when we are attaching the bank account. So this
Okay.
particular receivable activity is required.
Okay.
Yeah. So this receivable activity plays a larger role in terms of like I'll just show this one and also I'll
Okay.
show the what are the activity types that we have.
Okay.
So in this case, since this I wanted to have as an earned discount, similarly
Uh-huh.
I'll create for unearned discount also. So in this
Okay.
case, this is an earned discount. So I have given the GL account source, which means from which source basically system wants to pick up the code combination, or how do system understands that this is the account code combination that needs to be generated. So
Okay.
here I have three options. So one is on the
Mm-hmm.
activity GL code, which means I can just give directly here, or I can say revenue on invoice. So system will pick from
Okay.
the invoice. And I have tax rate code on invoice. So based on that, system will pick the code combination for this. So I don't want to give the other two. So this is a widely used functionality. That is
So GL account source, this doesn't have, so this comes from GL, right?
activity GL account.
So what I meant is like the ones that we create in the common configurations where we actually set up the accounts and account
Yeah,
values and all that, it's
yeah,
coming from there.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
And when you say activity GL account, does it go to how does it know to pick that 8019? Is there a specific reason why it picked that account?
yeah, that is the account that we are using for the chargeback. Sorry, not chargeback.
Oh, for the earned discount. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay. So you have to go and choose this, right? Here
yeah,
in
yes,
this.
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's fine. I was thinking as soon as you selected that, it just popped up.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And apart from that, if you are using the taxes for the discounts, so we can
Tax
specify
rate
the
code
tax
source.
rate code source for this. So we have similarly we have invoice and the activity as an option.
Okay.
So based on this, system will populate the what do you call the tax codes or the account code combination for the taxes.
What do you mean by activity there? I understand when I look at it, the invoice, okay, it's based on the invoice, whatever lines, it probably uses the tax rate there. But
Yeah.
then what is activity? Isn't it
So
the
activity
same?
is nothing but attaching our tax rate code.
Oh, okay.
So if I attach this code, which means I have already defined the accounts for this. So system
Okay.
will pick this particular code and it will generate the taxes and the relevant accounting entries.
Okay. What happens if you select none, which means it doesn't do any taxation? Is that what it means?
No, still it will do because our default rule is based on the business unit. So for
Okay.
our case, system will generate.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll show what are the options that we have for the activity type.
Uh-huh.
So here, if you see, I have for adjustments. So if I wanted
Yes.
to make any adjustments, then I'll have to
Uh-huh.
create a receivable activity.
Uh-huh.
Similarly, I will have for bank errors and then bank errors again. This will be used in the inside the receivable. This is not for the cash management.
Okay.
And if you want to have, so claims are different process entirely. So that is revenue management. And
Uh,
we have the credit card chargeback, and then we have credit card refunds and discounts is
uh-huh.
what we saw earlier. And for
Okay.
late charges, so miscellaneous cash is for something that we don't actually use the standard receipt method. So we have
Uh-huh.
two kind of receipt methods. So one is standard and the other one is miscellaneous receipts. Where
Okay.
so how do we differentiate the standard and miscellaneous is that, let's say I have an item, and for this item I have created an invoice. So against this invoice
Mhm.
I have created a receipt.
Okay.
So miscellaneous revenue is something that I don't have any reference to it, but I'll create a revenue. So
Okay.
this I can say non-item revenue or the miscellaneous revenue.
Okay.
So that is when we will need this miscellaneous cash.
Okay.
Yeah, and payment and the other things it will take through this one, what do you call the AP module for the
Okay.
refund and the other things.
Okay.
And
So
prepayment
you
is,
so you where do you define this? You define it here in receivables, even if it is AP related?
yeah, yes, yes, we will define it here. Because if you see this refund, so what, so there are two cases. So we have the reversal option, which means we are reversing the receipts. And the
Okay.
other option is to refund it, refund the actual amount. So which means, let's say I actually sold, let's say 10 quantity, so
Mm-hmm.
1000 each. So in
Okay.
this case, a customer comes after maybe 2 3 days and he says that I want a refund for this particular one quantity because this is a defect item. So we
Uh-huh.
will ask customer whether we can replace it with the new item or you wanted to have only the refund. So in rare
Okay.
case, customer says that I want only the refund. So what will
Mm.
happen is that we will create a refund here, stating
Mm-hmm.
that this is the payment, I mean the payment method and the other attributes. So
Uh-huh.
system will process this from the AR module to the AP module. So
Okay.
in
Okay.
AP module, this will create as an payment request.
Okay.
The invoice type will not be standard; it will be a payment request. So
Okay.
we will pick this payment request and we will process for the payment to this particular customer.
Okay. So do you plan to show that?
Yes, yes, that is part of
Okay.
our this one. Yeah,
Okay. Like, for me, everything
yeah.
is like a heart attack.
No, refund and write off and these things are part of it.
Okay.
This
Just show
thing
me so
and
that something I can blabble when some interview comes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This will be used in business. So this will we will be covering. So this and APR netting and the revenue
Yeah,
recognition,
tell
all
me
these things.
all those because like at least one module let me be proper.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see those things. Yeah,
Okay.
similarly for research write-off and
So why
short
do
term.
they have a refund then separately? If they're doing the prepayment or the payment, as you said, by sending it to the AP, so why do we
Hmm.
have a separate refund
No,
activity?
refund is for this one, right? For so even though we are paying it in what do you call AP module, but still we
Hmm.
wanted to record it in the receivable model, stating that this refund is has been initiated, and we will have
Okay.
the reference number for this refund. And we
Okay.
can take this reference number and we can pass it to AP user, and AP user will check and tell us that whether this refund is processed or it is in progress or
Okay.
it has been remitted to customer bank account.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will need this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shut
and then we
down.
have shortened it. So when will we use this shortened it? So we have receipt method. So there are different ways of recognizing or what do you call remitting the receipts. So we
Hmm.
have manual, we have
Okay.
standard, and we have factoring. So
Stand.
standard is simple. I mean manual or the direct one is simple. That I
Uh-huh.
don't have any interaction with bank. So I just create
Hmm.
receipt and system automatically says that this particular receipt is cleared. So
Okay.
this is first option, which we call direct. And we have
Okay.
second option, that is standard. So standard is
Uh-huh.
something that we will remit to bank and bank will give us the statement. and we will match that particular statement with our system transaction, and system is
Hmm.
going to get reconciled, and we will see the cleared status of the receipt. Okay.
Is that the lockbox?
No, this is not logbots. So this is the normal process which we follow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is second option. And third option would be our factoring. So what is factoring? So factoring will be used mostly for the US and the Europe customers.
Okay.
Mostly US actually. So what will happen is that, so let's say I have an receipt getting matured on so and so date,
Hmm.
let's say 10th of November. So, but
Okay.
I wanted to have the amount. I have what do you call the deficit on particular day, let's say 1st of November.
Uh-huh.
So, what I will do is that I'll take this receipt to bank, and I
Hmm.
will encash with maybe, let's say, 80% of it, and I'll
Hmm.
take the cash from the bank, and bank will receive this particular receivables from the customer directly. So bank will hold that particular 80% with them, and they will give only the 20%. So it is kind of an surrendering our receipt and encashing the receivable.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is
It's
what
almost like taking it from the bank.
yes, correct. It is kind of
Okay.
an shortened it.
Short-ended. Okay.
Yeah. So and then unearned discount. So this we saw already. So that's what. So these are the
Hmm.
options that we have in the receivable activity.
So, as a consultant, when you're given, do you ask them all the activity types, or I mean, they do you ask the question, or they give you the requirement itself directly?
Yeah, as
Because
a
they may
part of
not know everything, right?
yes, yes. So, as a part of requirement gathering, we will also suggest that we have so and so functionalities. If I mean,
Okay.
even the customer will definitely ask us. So, we
Mm-hmm.
have this requirement. So, how are you going to handle it in Fusion? But
Okay.
apart from that, we will also suggest we have so and so options. We can utilize this.
Okay. So in that case, you have to create one for each, right? Like how you have unearned and earned,
Yes, correct, correct.
or whatever you have right
Yeah,
now, unrealized or whatever it
yeah,
is. But so you'll have to go create every single type, activity type.
yeah. We will
Okay.
have to create every single activity type for each business unit. Let's say we have 100 business unit. We will
Uh-huh.
have to create create separately for all 100.
Oh, dang. Okay. So, um, oh yeah, by the way, I wanted to ask you this one. So what is that rapid implementation thing? So you can use those kind of things here, like this kind of repetitive work?
Rapid implementation is kind of an what do you call that is Excel based this one. I don't think we can use
Yeah,
rapid
I've
implementation
seen that.
for yeah. It is Excel based thing. So that is for what do you call the vanilla implementation we can use that, where we don't have
Okay.
any custom in this thing. To reduce the effort and these things, we can use the rapid implementation.
But you can't
Uh,
use them in for doing these kind of configurations?
yeah, I don't think we have for the receivable activity.
No,
Uh,
no, not just the receivable activity. What I'm getting at is, do can we use that for the configuration itself?
the
Like,
configurations we can use like even the ledger and the what do you call the payable part. So we
okay.
can use that functionality. I'll do one thing. I'll show maybe tomorrow the rapid
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
implementation.
yeah, not, no, I was just wondering when you said you have to
Yeah, yeah,
create, let's say, 100 business units, and then let's say if there are 20 of these, then if you
yeah,
keep doing that, it's a lot of work, right? Is then there a simpler way of doing things, is my question.
yeah. But rapid implementation will not
I don't
help
even
us.
know how you do rapid implementation. I was just curious, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. There are few things that rapid implementation can help us,
Okay,
but the other things are like manual activities sense,
okay.
because Oracle doesn't want to load something directly into the base table when it
Uh-huh,
comes to the configuration or the setup. So for those cases, what we will have to do is that we'll have to do manual work. So I don't think
okay.
receivable activity will be part of it. So
Uh-huh.
anyway, I'll check and I'll confirm.
Oh, okay, okay, that's fine. I
But
was
a
just
few things are mandatory. Even if you take EBS, so we will have to do manually. So similarly, we have few things left open.
but do you use that rapid implementation while you're working?
No, that depends. I mean, I haven't used it.
Okay,
For other project, one of my colleague he used it.
okay,
So we have an option. So it depends on the requirement. So can we use it? So
okay.
based on the feasibility, we'll try.
No, the word sounds rapid, right? So it's maybe
Yeah,
quicker. So I was like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No problem. We'll see it tomorrow. So that's it on the receivable activity. Yeah. So apart from that, if you see,
uh-huh.
sorry, I'm clicking again the same page.
So the one that we just did was the previous step, right? The manage approval activities. No, gee, not approval, sorry.
Receivable
Receivable
activity.
activity. I'm looking at this approval and talking.
Yeah. So for this, we will see when we are seeing the actual receipt write-off and these things. But this thing I'm just showing as a part of initial configuration. So if you see
Okay,
here, I'll have to set up the username. I mean, I need to give approve limit. So for
okay,
this, I have picked up three document types. One is adjustment, refund, and I have receipt write-off.
okay.
So I can give negative amount in the minimum, and I can
Hmm.
say positive amount in the maximum, so that
Okay,
I will not have issue in approving it.
okay.
But in real time, we will
So,
get the approval minimum and maximum limit from the customer.
so the one that is there is just the system generated one.
No, not system generated. I
You just put
created.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. So why is that you have, it's a, why do you have negative?
yeah. That is for rare case. If you wanted to use it, I just enabled it, but it's not mandatory to have it in negative actually.
No, but why do you have it in a negative? Is it like a number line where it's going from negative to positive or something like that?
No, no, it will not happen. So that's just, I just gave. Usually it
Okay.
will be one to so and so amount, one or
Okay.
zero.
Okay. So you
Zero.
don't usually you don't typically
Yeah,
give
yeah,
it as negative. Okay.
yeah,
I was just wondering why it's okay. And when you come here, right,
yeah,
username is you gave us Arun 12.
yeah.
So before this, what is that you need to do in terms of your user in terms of what do you call the roles? Do you need
No,
to give any specific roles, or you can just
no,
come and attach the username here?
no. I can just come and attach here. So only
So it
restriction that
doesn't
we,
specifically need any receivable roles or anything
yeah,
like that.
we don't need it. So only thing that we have is that I cannot set approval limit for my own rule. I mean, own username.
Okay.
Someone
So
should give
we
me
will
access.
yeah, so we assume that since it's an approval amount or it's a min max, so we are assuming Arun 12 is the manager,
Yes, correct.
right? Okay.
Yeah, and then we have the customer billing part.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'll just show you this part, the line ordering rules and the grouping rules.
Uh-huh.
But we cannot use this particular functionality since we don't have the supply chain module or the third party application with us. But still, I'll
Okay.
show you and I'll explain the points.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember this from my previous companies.
Okay. Yeah,
Interface lines table and all. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So what will happen is that, so let's take this one, order line. So for
Mm.
the order line, basically we will have four lines that we have set up. So that is sales order and sales order line and ship date and ship fire, which means
Okay.
freight or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So we can capture this information in case of order management. So in
Okay.
case of external transaction that we are trying to import into Fusion, so for those cases, maybe
Receivables.
we can
Okay.
utilize this particular attribute called attribute line 1, line 2. So we will define
Okay.
a template for this. So
Uh-huh.
in this mapping template, we say if this is an interface line attribute 1 in Fusion, so what will be the
Okay.
particular field that will be picked up from the legacy or maybe what do you call the third party application. So
Okay.
based on those mapping, we will give the attributes here.
Okay. It just doesn't have to limit to just these two, right?
Yes,
If
yes,
let's
correct.
assume they have 100 or something, I'm
Yeah,
just throwing it out there
yeah,
number.
yeah.
So you can have that many number of
Yes,
attributes.
yes, yes, correct.
Okay. So you just gave it here as a sample.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And the ones that you have order line or line order, right?
Yeah,
Those are all related when you implement the supply chain, right?
yes, correct, correct.
And so the consultant who's working with the supply chain actually defines all these, we assume.
No,
Or are
this
we
will be.
assuming that the financial consultant does this?
Yeah, this will be defined by us, financial consultant.
Okay. So in order to do this on transaction attribute, if you're
Mm.
a financial consultant and you have a separate SCM consultant, so
Okay.
they give us all the attributes that need to come into the Oracle, right?
Yeah, we will discuss with them and we will get the relevant inputs and we will set the transaction attributes.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Yeah, yeah. So what's that project lines? Is that something that we need to do also?
No, that is not mandatory. I mean, that was created by someone, I think.
Okay, so for us, it's just order and that third party, right?
Yeah, is correct. Yeah,
Which
someone has
third
created.
party can be named. So the name can be anything, right?
Yes, yes, anything.
Okay. It doesn't have to be those specifically. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and then we have grouping rule.
Okay.
So basically, here if you see, we will attach the line ordering rule to the grouping rule.
Line. Okay.
So this is the one that we attach to our system option default.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So based on this rule, basically system will generate. So irrespective of the customer, system is picking default as a rule to generate the auto invoices
But this default was something that was created by Oracle,
or a
right?
conceded one. Yeah.
Yeah, seeded one. So do you get to do anything? You don't have to define anything, right? In terms of the name,
No.
other than default, do you have any custom things that you can define?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. We can define it. So here,
Uh,
if you see, I can just add.
uh,
So here, if you see, someone has added external source.
okay.
So similarly, we can add our own this thing.
Okay. So basically, you have to first define this and then only you can do the system options.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So step one has to be this
No,
one.
no, we will define the system option and then at later point of time, we can attach it. At initial
Okay.
thing, we can attach to default and later point of time, we can change it
You can
to
come
our,
and change it.
yeah.
Okay. Or or you can come and do this first also, right?
No, I mean,
No,
it
I'm
is
just
a,
saying, I know it may not be the practice, but I'm just wondering,
yeah,
what happens if you do this one first and then go back to your system options?
yeah, we can do it, but I mean, we used to take that one
I
first.
know, I'm just
Yeah,
teasing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what we will do is that we will give a name for it, and we will
Uh-huh.
attach the line ordering rule that we created in the earlier setup. So
So
this
does it let you manipulate that or change, update that name? Can you delete that?
this one.
Default? No, no, default. Will the system let you just remove that and enter your own name there?
Yes, yes, we can enter our own name. I can enter anything.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm attaching the line ordering rule. So basically,
Uh-huh.
line ordering rule, what it will do is that it will pick the sales order, or it will pick the particular transaction, and it will basically informs the system that this is the line items that needs to be
Uh-huh.
grouped, brought into the system. And
Okay.
this particular option, the grouping rule. So this
Uh-huh.
basically defines that whether it needs to be grouped under one transaction or it needs to be grouped under the multiple transaction. So this is what actually defining it.
Okay. What do you mean by multiple transactions or one transaction?
Yeah,
Let's say if I have an invoice,
yeah,
and in invoice I have a number of lines, let's say 10 lines,
yes,
right? So
yeah,
line ordering rule, let's say test invoice is your third party related whatever transactions are coming in.
okay,
So if that's the case, based on this rule right now, right, whatever
yeah,
you have here,
yeah,
how does it group?
yeah.
Let's say the
So
10 lines are there, and I don't know
yeah,
how it's going to group.
yeah. So lines are grouped under this particular configuration. So now grouping an invoice. So if you see here, so we have three options: credit memo, debit memo, and we have invoice.
Uh-huh.
In this case, I select invoice. And
Okay.
here I give a group it. So based on what parameter system should group this particular invoice.
Okay.
So here I have multiple options. So in this case, I have given only the accounting rule ID. So apart
Okay.
from that, I can give the third party registration ID, and if I have mapped the attribute one, so that I can give it. Or if I wanted to create a specific invoice only for a particular item, so that I
Mm-hmm.
can give it at the item inventory level also. So similarly, we
Okay.
have multiple options to group this particular invoice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so these
Oh,
are the
that,
options that we have.
so is there a way you can rename the in let's say the what do you call interface whatever was there interface line attribute one, right?
Yeah,
Instead of that, can you give a name? No, right?
no, that we cannot.
That you can't change. You
Yeah.
have to pick what is here.
Yeah, because that is Oracle architecture. So we cannot
Okay.
change Oracle structure.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you see here, so we have a sales order. So if I
Uh-huh.
select sales order, which means if I have created this sales order as an 001 with
Uh-huh.
10 lines, which means system is going to pick this sales order and going to create one invoice. So which
Yes.
means for one sales order, one invoice. So this is the rule.
Yes.
So this
Uh-huh.
is how system will create the invoice. So similarly, we have sales order date. So which
Hmm.
means, let's say I have a sales order date as 10th of November. So
Okay.
on 10th of November, I have created 10 transaction, which means system will pick all this 10 transaction and it will generate one invoice.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Got
And
it.
we have sales order line. So similarly, we
Mhm.
have a lot of options inside this grouping rule. So based on this rule, system will create the invoice, or it will
Okay.
decide how I wanted to create this what do you call the invoice.
Uh-huh. But who decides that? In the sense, no, I know business gives you the by what you have to group, or do you suggest the business how it can be done?
Yeah, so we will get the requirement, and
Uh-huh.
based on the requirement, we will decide that configuration should be based on the sales order or sales order date. But business will not give details of it. So only at the high level, like I wanted to have one invoice for maybe three sales order, or for with one invoice maybe I wanted to have what do you call multiple lines. So similarly, business will give the
Okay.
requirement. Based on that, we can give our parameters here to generate one
Okay.
invoice.
Okay. So when you say accounting rule, right, the first option that's there on the top,
Yeah,
accounting rule ID. So
yeah.
what is taken into consideration there when you say accounting?
So accounting rule is nothing but our this thing. So we have something called revenue recognition. So
Yes.
for that, we will have the accounting rule. So instead of taking this, what do you call the rule name, I'm just picking the rule ID. So which
Okay.
means whatever transaction that falls under this particular ID, rule ID. So for each business unit, we might have one or two rule also. So
Okay.
I pick the rule ID. So that will
Uh-huh.
be part of my sales order. So
Okay.
based on or maybe third party application. So
Uh-huh.
based on this rule, I create this transaction or invoice.
Okay. What do you normally choose? I mean, like in practice,
So in practice, it is suggested to have sales order date if
sales
it
order.
is
Okay.
from order management, or
Okay.
if
If
it is
not,
from, yeah.
if it's not from sales order, I mean, sorry, order management, what do you do?
So that depends on the client to client. So that differs. So
Oh,
how
you
do
you
we?
have third party option also, right?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So these are the options that we have in the auto invoicing. So based on this rule, system is going to create the invoices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you see here, so this is the intercompany rule that we gave. So based on this is seeded one, Oracle given this option. So based
Mm-hmm.
on this, system will generate the auto invoice.
Okay. Global intercompany. So that's also seeded. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you know in this one which is seed? Of course, I know this is test environment.
Yes.
In the regular one, probably you'll just have the seeded ones.
Yes, correct. Before you start
Okay.
any configuration, so if you search, whatever we have is the seeded one.
Yeah, yeah. For me, even test when I look at this, there's so many things which are seeded. How do you recognize? So yeah.
Auto invoice to avail seeded later. Okay, so we have transaction type.
Mm.
Okay, before transaction type, let me complete the auto accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here, so what is auto accounting is that auto accounting will let us to define or let us to inform the system that this is how my account code combination or the receivable and revenue should be generated. So if you
Okay.
see in payable modules, we will have to
Mm-hmm.
select each accounts manually.
Yes.
So similarly, here also we will have to select it manually. So to
Mm-hmm.
avoid this particular manual selection, so what we can do is that we can do auto accounting. So is
Mm-hmm.
this mandatory to have auto accounting for all the transaction? No, we don't need this option to be have for the manual,
Okay.
because if you see manual, anyway we can choose it from the list.
Uh-huh.
But this will be mandatory when we import the transaction from either order management or third party application.
Okay.
Because there, if you see, system will not understand that from where I should pick the account code combination. Here in this case, we can pick it manually and we can do it. But when the system is processing it, it will not
Mm-hmm.
understand and it will go in error, like it will stuck in interface. So
Okay.
interface will validate all those things and we will have those issues. So for
Mm-hmm.
that, what we will do is that we will assign a business unit,
Mm-hmm.
and to the business unit, we will have this option.
Okay.
So we have auto invoice clearing account.
Mm-hmm.
and we have the receivable account, and
Mm-hmm.
then we have revenue account, and we will have tax account.
Okay.
So apart from that, the other accounts are for the what do you call, the revenue recognition and the other things. So these things we
Okay.
will see when we are seeing the revenue recognition process.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the four mandatory setups that we need. And apart from that, if we are having freight, so we should add it for freight as well.
Okay. So what is the difference between that receivable and revenue
So receive revenue is something that
after you realize that?
no, like receivable is something as a whole. Like let's say I have 10 lines in the
Yeah.
invoice.
Uh-huh.
So this 10 lines will be treated as an revenue,
Yes.
because I might have item 1, item 2, item 3 for till item 10.
Uh-huh.
So I will say either I can use the same revenue account or different revenue account. But apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
my revenue will be segregated. But my receivable will be as a whole. Like let's say 10 lines, each
Mm-hmm.
1000, and
Mm-hmm.
10,000 as a whole. So
Mm-hmm.
here my revenue will be 1000 each line, and my
Okay.
receivable will be 10,000.
Okay. It's taking it as a whole there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so these are the options that we have for this one, auto accounting. So this
Uh-huh.
will be used only in case of what do you call, the auto invoice, or importing the invoice from the external system or this external application.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is the functionality of auto accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So and then we have the transaction type.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't show you this one. Just one minute.
So for every business unit, you have created receivable and revenue, just these two.
Yes, yes, correct.
So these two are the most important ones. Is that why you created two, or
Yeah,
is it? I mean,
yeah, these two are most important because unless we have this defined, so
mm-hmm.
the system is not going to what do you call, the automatically create the combinations. So we will have to
Okay.
create it manually. So that is the reason I gave
Uh-huh.
only for this two. So it's not mandatory that we need to give it. So we will be able to pick it from there as well.
Okay. So tax is not that important when compared to this.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. So if we have tax, we can define for tax as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just show for this. So if you see here, so I'm selecting, okay, it is already defined.
Somebody's already created.
Yeah, I mean, for almost all the views. Yeah. So similarly for the receive, this is for receivable. I'm picking up this particular rule.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, we will create for the other account type as well. So
Mm-hmm.
here, if you see, so
There's no value source. So once you define it, you can't go and check, right? That's why you're not able to pull up the ones that you already have.
yeah, I think it is this. So that's it.
So can we just search and see what comes up that way?
Yeah, search. I'll not be able to what do you call
Open
it?
it, right? You can't open it.
Yeah, because the page is killing itself.
Okay. Oh, it's getting hung up.
Yeah, yeah, this is having
But
some
what if
issue.
you were to edit this later? Can
No,
you
we
do it
cannot
from here?
edit it. No, no, we cannot edit it. Only thing is we should delete it and create a new rule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the page is not loading. So I'll explain it this one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
So here, if you see, I have three options. So if
Mm-hmm.
it is receivable, I
Mm-hmm.
can choose it from the transaction type,
Mm-hmm.
or I can choose it from the customer side, or I
Okay.
can choose it from the sales executive, salesperson, this thing configuration. So from the,
Okay.
from there also we can pick it.
Okay.
So usual practice is to maintain at the customer.
Okay.
So we will have the customer side. So inside the customer side, basically we will mention all these things.
Okay. And when you chose this, right? So, so it came up with the four whatever segments that you created.
Yeah, is correct. No, segment
So,
created in the sense we cannot give the segments here. So instead, we will attach the code combination or the segments inside this setups that we are giving. Either it is transaction type or the customer site.
okay.
So
No,
that is
but what
when,
I meant is like when you selected the business unit, right? As
yeah,
soon as you select the business unit, it's giving you the, the structure itself there, right?
yeah, yes,
In
yes,
terms
correct.
of segment.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And for each segment, again, you're adding whether whatever value or whatever
yeah,
that is. Okay.
Yeah, so these are the three options. So basically, we are defining the account code in customer side, and we are attaching the customer side here in the auto
Uh-huh.
accounting.
Okay.
And we have other option like we can give it the default value. So
Okay.
which means
What does it mean by adding? I mean, I know you're saying you're adding the customer site, right? So how do I how do I word this? Um,
customer side.
yes.
Yeah, when we are creating the customer, we will see. But for now,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say this one. So we have customer. So customer site can be multiple. So for
Uh-huh.
each site, we have an option of attaching our business unit ledger and account code combination. So that is for the receivable revenue, freight, tax, other things. We can attach the account codes there, and we can
Okay.
attach it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So So in this case, when we say customer side for this business unit, so for all customers, it will pick only from the customer side. We cannot have half customer and half from the transaction type.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
So
So
it's basically running it based on the customer site
yes, correct.
when you give it as a customer site. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So the last option that we have is to give the constant value. So when I use this particular business unit, so which
Mm-hmm.
means this will be the value that will be generated for all my auto invoices. I mean all my invoices. So if it is manual invoice, very well I can change it in the distributions. But if
Uh-huh.
it is on the particular, let's say importing from third party application, so
Mm-hmm.
my combination will be always similar to this one. Whatever
Oh
combination,
yeah. So you give the receivables combination here then.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
mostly it is not used because if you see, I have different customers. This will
Uh-huh.
be used when I have same account maintained for all the customers. So
Yeah.
for those case, I can use this.
Uh-huh.
So apart from that, let's say I have different accounts for the customer. So for
Mm-hmm.
those cases, I cannot use the constant value. Instead, I'll pick from the customer side.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it about the auto accounting.
Okay.
So the next checklist is transaction type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here I have my reference data set.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see, so I have attached Tata Auto 03 RDS. So on
Mm-hmm.
top of this particular reference data set, system will let us to configure or let us to do any kind of transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have
So
attached.
is that the Start Auto 03 RDS you specifically created for this one? Or was it already the RDS that we created earlier for the previous modules setup?
Yeah. So sorry, I missed your question. Can you repeat once?
No, no, what I'm saying is, did you define this RDS specifically for this transaction type, or was it already there in the system? I mean, for the previous configurations that we did for the other modules. Is
No,
that the same RDS that you're using?
yeah, yeah. I'm using the same RDS, but this RDS I created when I was creating the business unit.
Yes, yes, that's
Remember
right.
when
Uh-huh.
we are creating the
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm asking, is it
yeah,
that same thing or is it different?
yeah, same thing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, just one
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, small urgent work. So
Yeah, yeah,
can
not.
we continue
We'll
tomorrow?
continue tomorrow.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah, thanks.